What's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about a game that's probably one of my most hyped for 2023, and that is Fire Emblem Engage for the Nintendo Switch. This is the brand new Fire Emblem game from Intelligent Systems and Nintendo. There was a big trailer that Nintendo revealed at the recent Nintendo Direct, and I've analyzed it, I've looked at it, and I've found out a number of different things that get me very excited for this Fire Emblem game. But before we get into that, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell for more Fire Emblem Engage news plus more. Now let's go ahead and jump right into it here, and I want to talk about this game in terms of the premise first. Now this game is interesting because it's using something that the Fire Emblem team has done before. Having past heroes in a game is nothing new for the Fire Emblem franchise. Various other games you've been able to use past heroes to play. The difference now is that the past heroes are in a little bit of a different light in terms of how they get to your realm and what they do and what you get from them. Usually when you have a past hero, you actually get to use that hero, as in they are walking around and being a hero. But this time it's kind of like a Persona style fusion where you can inherit weapons from them, you can get skills from them, which we'll talk about in just a bit. So it's done a little bit differently, and it's not quite the same as a game like Tokyo Mirage Sessions, for example. So that is a pretty cool aspect. It's almost kind of like Fire Emblem Heroes, which is the mobile game, but not done in a gacha mobile type of way, which is very similar to what, in terms of not the gacha, but the way that past Fire Emblem games have incorporated past heroes into the game. But this one seems more intrinsic, and it feels like it was actually done with it in mind more so than an additional feature. Now, I do want to talk about the story because it's 1,000 years ago. There was a fell dragon. That dragon was killed from heroes. Then all of a sudden, the guy wakes up 1,000 years later, and you are in this, and the fell dragon's bind is weakening, and he's back, and you have to slay it again. And you are the dragon child that is there to help by calling upon all these different heroes. I like the setup. I like the premise. I think just like any other Fire Emblem game, it's going to take a lot of twists and turns and kind of go in places that you didn't expect for it to go. Ever since Fire Emblem Awakening, for me at least, the way that they've been doing their modern storytelling has been very interesting. Now, of course, past Fire Emblem games have had phenomenal stories. I love Path of Radiance, Radiant Dawn. I love the older ones, but the new style of storytelling here seems very intriguing to me. So we'll see exactly how it actually sets up, because it seems so basic on the outside looking in, but I know for a fact there's going to be some big revelations with this game. Now, let's talk a bit about the graphical presentation and the graphics itself, because this game is giving me huge Fire Emblem Awakening vibes. It looks almost like the cutscenes from Fire Emblem Awakening, so I really like what they're doing with that. Fire Emblem Awakening and Fire Emblem Heroes type of style, and I don't think that's a bad thing. Now, on the presentation side, I love the matchup display. This is one of the things that just makes the game feel a bit more lively before you engage in the battles. It has a nice little sleek touch to it. I just think that it looks cool by them doing this. The dynamic camera angles for certain attacks is also a very nice touch as well. Welcomed addition to have, like the dynamic swooping that we saw with one of the Pegasus Knight actions. So very good on that front, which the Fire Emblem games have done that before, but this one seems a bit more dramatic and a bit more dynamic than we've ever seen it. Now, on the graphics front, this is a nice upgrade over Fire Emblem Three Houses, and easily the best graphics-wise Fire Emblem game of all time. Now, the biggest issue with Fire Emblem Three Houses graphics, for those who didn't play it or maybe you just don't remember, it was the background textures and the structure of the geometry and the environments. It just flat out looked terrible at times. However, in Fire Emblem Engage, the backgrounds and environments look so much better. It has a chunkier look to it, and I wouldn't be surprised if Intelligent Systems was using some type of super resolution or an upscaler to really help out with that. Now, the character models have never looked better. It has a very clean aesthetic and look to it. and I'm just looking forward to seeing more characters and how they're designed, because for those who don't know, Fire Emblem is a game to where you end up with a lot of characters on your team, and you can sub in and out those characters. You're not just going to have, like, let's say 3 or 4 party members and that's all you have for the rest of the game. You usually have a lot of different people, and then you sub them in based on the size of the map. You might have 6 characters or 5 characters that you can use, or even up to 10 or more. So I do think that it's going to be interesting to see how they design some of the other characters. Now, let's talk about one of the biggest controversial points with this game, and that is the main character design. And listen, the toothpaste jokes are awesome. The My Hero reject jokes are awesome. The Todoroki jokes are fun too. I think that it's all fun to talk about that, but it's actually growing on me. There was, I guess, a famous manga artist or a famous artist. Apparently he did the designs. I need to double check on that one, but either way, if he did, awesome. It's growing on me. I think that this design main character is cool. Some people were trying to say maybe they should just have regular hair like red or blue, but I think then it doesn't look as unique or distinctive. You know, the fact that people are still talking about this main character design and it being weird or ugly or this or that, it already has something that's better than Fire Emblem Three Houses, which people looked at Byleth and was like, that's just kind of a lame or boring character design. Looks cool, like the black, you know, like the outfit, but not so much, not for me. And I think that this one, you have a lot of wide range of emotions, and that's how you know you're onto something, because you got people that absolutely love it and say, no, it's growing on me, it's unique or it's quirky. Then you got people said, I don't like it so much. So there's time for when the game does actually come out to where people that are on one side can kind of flip over and everything, to where it's not just like that middling opinion. So I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing at this point that there's so much talk over this, and people of course are allowed to have their opinions on how they feel about the design of a character, but I think that it's pretty cool, and I feel that this design is going to grow on everyone as they check out and play this game. Now let's talk about the music, because there really hasn't been much. They have the old school Fire Emblem theme playing, of course, with a little bit modernized, a little bit different, but you could recognize it from anything. And I think that if you base how they've been doing the music since Fire Emblem Awakening and up, that's just Fire Emblem Awakening and up. They've always had great music in Fire Emblem games, but if you base it off of that, this game is going to have music that just absolutely slaps. I mean, I love Awakening, I love Fire Emblem Fates, I love Three Houses. I think that all of those games have phenomenal music, so I think that this one is going to have music just as good, if not better, than those games. But Fire Emblem has always been known for its amazing soundtracks, and like I said, I think this one's going to be awesome as well. Now let's talk about the big aspect, the new thing with this game, the new gameplay mechanic that's really going to be cool and fun for people to get into, and that is the fusion aspect, the Emblem Rings. Now this is intriguing because you inherit different skills, weapons, attributes, and more from multiple different types of combinations. Now it seems like all characters can use Emblem Rings. Now we don't know for sure if every single character you get can use Emblem Rings, but all the characters that they showed in the trailer can use Emblem Rings, so you can assign or give them different Emblem Rings for them to take advantage of in battles. And that's awesome, because at first when I was watching, I was thinking, okay, well maybe only the main character can get these different Emblem Rings and everything, but nope, everyone can get them, and that's going to create tons of combat options and possibilities. So I'm very excited to see exactly what characters you're going to get and who can use them in certain situations, because there's even more that we're going to talk about in just a bit with the Emblem Rings and the fusion aspects. But I want to dive into some of the other things with the game that I noticed from the trailer. Now, it looks like mini games, potentially even a fishing mini game, will be back like it was in Fire Emblem Three Houses. We have the open-ended aspects of the monastery returning from Fire Emblem Three Houses, but this time it's in a place called the Somniel, and I might have been pronouncing that wrong. But on the mini map, you can see various different icons for buying equipment, forging, and even talking to characters, including the emblem characters you summon via the rings, the past heroes. You can see Marth in the debut trailer right there, to where you can talk to him. There's a little speech bubble right by him, and there's also town building aspects. Now, it also looks like based on what you build up or what you can do, you can put more resources into your town and you can make your base hub even bigger, which they're going to offer you more services and be able to get you more things in the game. Very much like Fire Emblem Warriors Three Hopes had too. So the character appearance customization is also back. It's back and it looks better than ever. It looks like it's far more in depth than what we've seen in previous games where you can just kind of like change some of the base stuff. So I think that's going to be pretty cool to be able to potentially get like a clothing store there and be able to customize your heroes the way that you want them to be customized. Now let's talk about the God Fusion engaging mechanic, which looks really cool. It's almost like the super fusion, and they showed off multiple characters in the trailer being able to do those God fusions. So I really want to see how all of them end up looking. You see Sigurd, you see Celica, you see Marth, all doing that in that first trailer to where you can do major damage and you can just really have access to different abilities and attacks. So I think that a lot of this stuff is really cool, but you're really going to be able to take advantage of it on the harder difficulties. And I think that's what I love about Fire Emblem, is that they put so many mechanics in the game. They put so many different things. If you're playing on hard or if you're playing on the Maniac difficulties, these type of cool special abilities and skills all come into play way more. So that's why I'm excited about some of these new mechanics, because you're really going to need them on the harder difficulties, especially if you're playing with the whole mode where if your character dies, they're done, which is a staple in Fire Emblem games. They call it classic mode at this point, to where if someone dies, they are done. They don't come back. And that's pretty much in every single Fire Emblem game, you know, but they gave you the option to toggle it. I think it was Awakening and Up. Maybe it was a different game, but I'm pretty sure it was Awakening and Up. So I love the fact that they're putting in a bunch of cool mechanics and different things. And I'm pretty sure there's even a lot more that they haven't shown off, because Fire Emblem always has layers and layers and layers, and they don't ever overwhelm at the beginning. They always kind of take it a bit slow and then maybe reveal way more as the game is about to come out. Now, very excited about this. I'm looking forward to it quite a bit. And the best part about all of this is that it's coming on January 20th, 2023. So it's going to be very soon at this point. Now, we did hear rumors that this game has been done for quite some time, and that's why we got those crusty leaks a while ago. It was months ago that we got those crusty leaks that showed off the main character, showed off one of the other characters, showed off a little bit of the town or the hub area. But of course, it looked very bad. It looked very off screen and very early. It did not look anything like what we have now at this point, because the game was probably done and just sitting there and someone just decided to snap it or whatever the case is, or maybe it was early. But yeah, apparently Nintendo was sitting on the game. But I think that even if they were, the fact that they can just say, okay, we can put it in its own time slot, it can get its own time to shine, it won't really step on the toes of any other games, that's fine, because I think January is a phenomenal way to launch this game. Right there after the holiday, you have a very open time slot. Not a lot of big games usually come out in January, and I think that fans are really going to try this one out. This will be a game that gets a lot of new people into it because of the aesthetic look of it over Fire Emblem Three Houses. And with the huge install base of the Nintendo Switch being 100 million plus, and it's even going to be more after the holiday, I think that this is the right time to have that unique, built for the Nintendo Switch, ground up Fire Emblem game that really takes advantage of the system more so than what Fire Emblem Three Houses could do, as a game that got delayed multiple times and definitely had some issues in development, with Koei Tecmo having to jump in and really fix things up. You can tell that there was a little bit of issues with that game, whereas Fire Emblem Engage seems like they're locked in, ready to go, and just waiting for this, and they've been able to fine-tune the experience and tune it exactly how they want to. So I'm excited to see exactly how this game does, because Fire Emblem games always review and do very well when it comes to the mainline ones. I mean, in the past, I would say 10 years or so since Awakening came out, they're pretty much all high 80s or so, mid to high 80s. So these games are always very good. So what do you guys think about Fire Emblem Engage? What do you feel about the gameplay that they've shown, the graphics, the music so far, the little that we do have, the presentation, and what they're doing with the game? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell. We will see you for the next video. Peace.